I, 34F, have been married to my husband Ryan, 31M, for 5 years now. We have a beautiful daughter, Haley, 6F, from my previous marriage. My life hasn't been the easiest, but I've always tried to make the best of things. I grew up in a small town, raised by a single mom who worked 2 jobs to keep food on the table. I learned early on about hard work and perseverance, which served me well when I became a young mother myself. I met my first husband, Brian, 35M, when we were both in college. He was studying engineering, and I was pursuing a degree in elementary education. We fell in love quickly and got married right after graduation. Brian got a job at a local engineering firm, and I started teaching at a nearby elementary school. We were young and in love, and life seemed perfect. When I found out I was pregnant with Haley, we were over the moon. Brian was so excited to be a father. He'd spend hours talking to my belly, making plans for our future family. Haley was born healthy and beautiful, and for 2 years, our little family was everything I'd ever dreamed of. But life had other plans. Brian was driving home from work one rainy night when another driver lost control and crashed into him. He died instantly. Just like that, my world shattered. I was a 28-year-old widow with a 2-year-old daughter, and I had no idea how I was going to move forward. The first year after Brian's death was a blur of grief and survival. I threw myself into caring for Haley and my job, barely keeping my head above water. My mom moved in with us for a while to help, and slowly, I started to feel like I could breathe again. It was about 2 years after Brian's death when I met Ryan. He just started teaching at my school, fresh out of college and full of enthusiasm. At first, I saw him as just a friendly colleague. He was younger than me, and I wasn't looking for a relationship. But Ryan was patient and kind, always there with a word of encouragement or a helping hand. Slowly, almost without me realizing it, Ryan became an important part of our lives. He'd offer to watch Haley when I had parent-teacher conferences, or he'd bring over dinner when he knew I'd had a tough day. Haley adored him, always excited when Mr. Ryan came to visit. It took me a long time to admit to myself that I was falling for Ryan. I felt guilty, like I was betraying Brian's memory. But my mom sat me down one day and told me that Brian would have wanted me to be happy, to give Haley a loving family again. With her encouragement, I finally allowed myself to open up to the possibility of love again. Ryan and I started dating, taking things slow for Haley's sake. He was incredible with her, never trying to replace Brian but carving out his own special place in her heart. After a year of dating, Ryan proposed, and I said yes. Our wedding was small and intimate, just close family and friends. Haley was our flower girl, beaming with pride as she walked down the aisle. As I said my vows to Ryan, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't experienced since losing Brian. I knew we were starting a new chapter in our lives, and I was excited for what the future held. The first few years of our marriage were wonderful. Ryan legally adopted Haley, and she started calling him Dad. We settled into a comfortable routine, balancing our jobs, family time, and our relationship. We even started talking about having another child together. But there was one cloud hanging over our otherwise happy life: Ryan's father, Gerald, 65M. From the moment we met, I could tell Gerald didn't approve of me or Haley. He was a successful businessman who'd had big dreams for his only son. In his eyes, Ryan was throwing away his potential by marrying a widow with a child. At first, Gerald's disapproval was subtle. He'd make comments about how Ryan was playing house or how he hoped we weren't planning on having more children because Ryan is too young to be tied down. I tried to brush these comments off, hoping that over time, Gerald would see how happy Ryan was and come around. But as the years went by, Gerald's behavior only got worse. He'd openly ignore Haley at family gatherings, refusing to acknowledge her when she tried to show him her drawings or tell him about school. He'd make pointed remarks about how it was such a shame that Ryan wouldn't have children of his own. Each comment felt like a knife to my heart, but Ryan always seemed oblivious to the hurt his father was causing. I tried talking to Ryan about it several times, but he'd always defend his father. "That's just how Dad is," he'd say, or "he doesn't mean anything by it." I began to dread any family gatherings where Gerald would be present, but I put on a brave face for Ryan's sake. Things came to a head last month when Ryan's sister Amy, 28F, invited us all for a family vacation to celebrate her engagement. The idea of spending a whole week with Gerald filled me with anxiety, but Ryan was so excited about the trip. He talked about how it would be a great opportunity for everyone to bond and for Gerald to finally see what a great family we were. Against my better judgment, I agreed to the trip. We arrived at the beach resort where Amy had rented a large vacation home for all of us. The first few days were tense but manageable. Gerald mostly ignored me and Haley, which I preferred to his usual snide comments. On the 4th day of the trip, We all decided to visit a large shopping mall nearby. Haley was excited about buying souvenirs for her friends back home, and even I was looking forward to some retail therapy. For a while, everything seemed fine. Gerald was keeping his distance, and Haley was having fun looking at all the shops. I stepped away to use the restroom, leaving Haley with Ryan and the rest of the family. When I came back, I couldn't find Haley anywhere. Panic set in immediately. I started searching frantically, calling her name and asking everyone if they'd seen her. Ryan and Amy joined in the search, but there was no sign of Haley. After what felt like hours, but was probably only about 20 minutes, we found Haley crying near the mall's information desk. A kind security guard had found her wandering alone and brought her there. I hugged her tightly, relief washing over me. When Haley calmed down enough to speak, she told us something that made my blood run cold. She said Gerald had taken her hand, led her away from the group, and told her to wait on a bench because he was going to buy her a surprise. Then he just left her there and never came back. I was furious. I confronted Gerald in front of the entire family, but he denied everything. He claimed Haley must have wandered off on her own and was making up stories. To my shock and disappointment, Ryan seemed to believe his father over our daughter. We cut the vacation short and returned home immediately. Since then, things have been extremely tense between Ryan and me. He keeps insisting that Haley must have misunderstood the situation and that his father would never do something like that. I've tried explaining how Gerald has always treated us, but Ryan refuses to listen. I'm at my wit's end. I don't feel safe having Gerald around Haley anymore, but Ryan thinks I'm overreacting. He's even suggested that we all get together for dinner to clear the air. I absolutely refuse to put Haley in that situation again. I love Ryan, but I'm starting to wonder if our marriage can survive this. Am I overreacting? Should I give Gerald another chance for the sake of keeping the peace? Or should I stand my ground and protect my daughter, even if it means potentially ending my marriage? Update 1. It's been about 2 weeks since my last post, and I wanted to give you all an update on the situation. First of all, thank you so much for all your supportive comments and advice. It really helped me gain perspective and find the courage to stand up for myself and Haley. After reading your comments, I realized that I needed to have a serious conversation with Ryan. I spent a few days gathering my thoughts and preparing what I wanted to say. I wanted to make sure I could express myself clearly without letting emotions take over. Last Friday, after Haley had gone to bed, I asked Ryan if we could talk. We sat down in the living room, the same room where we'd spent so many happy evenings as a family. I took a deep breath and started from the beginning. I told Ryan about all the little incidents with Gerald over the years, things I brushed off at the time but that had built up over time. I reminded him of the time Gerald had forgotten to buy Haley a Christmas present, even though he'd given expensive gifts to his other grandchildren. I talked about the family barbecue where Gerald had loudly asked when Ryan was going to have real children of his own. As I spoke, I could see Ryan's expression changing. At first, he looked defensive, but as I continued, I saw confusion and then dawning realization in his eyes. When I got to the mall incident, Ryan tried to interrupt, but I asked him to let me finish. I told him how hurt and betrayed I felt by his response to the mall incident. I explained that by choosing to believe Gerald over Haley, he was sending a message to our daughter that her feelings and experiences didn't matter. I told him about the nightmares Haley had been having, how she was afraid to go to the mall now, and how she'd asked me if Grandpa Gerald hated her. When I finished talking, Ryan was quiet for a long time. Then, to my surprise, he broke down and apologized. He admitted that he had been in denial about his father's behavior because he couldn't bear to think of his dad as a bad person. He also confessed that he had noticed some of Gerald's comments before but had convinced himself they were just harmless jokes. Ryan told me about his childhood, something he'd never really opened up about before. He talked about how Gerald had always been a stern, demanding father, pushing Ryan to excel in everything he did. Ryan had spent his whole life trying to win his father's approval, and even now, as an adult, he still craved that validation. But Ryan also said that hearing everything laid out like that had opened his eyes. He realized that by trying to please his father, he'd been failing as a husband and father himself. He promised to support me and Haley from now on, and to set clear boundaries with Gerald. The next day, Ryan called his father. He put the call on speakerphone so I could hear, which I appreciated. Ryan told Gerald that unless he apologized sincerely to me and Haley and showed a genuine change in his behavior, we would not be seeing him or speaking to him. Gerald's reaction was worse than I expected. He yelled at Ryan, accusing me of turning his son against him and calling Haley a liar. He brought up Ryan's childhood, saying he'd sacrificed everything to give Ryan a good life and this was how he was repaid. He even threatened to cut Ryan out of his will if he didn't come to his senses. Throughout the call, Ryan stood his ground. His voice shook a few times, but he didn't back down. He told Gerald that his family, me and Haley, came first now, and if Gerald couldn't respect that, then he wouldn't be a part of our lives. After the call, Ryan was visibly shaken. He told me he had never heard his father speak like that before and that it had opened his eyes to how Gerald really behaved when he thought he could get away with it. Ryan apologized again for not believing me and Haley sooner. We decided to start family therapy to help us navigate this situation, especially for Haley's sake. She's been having nightmares about the mall incident, and I want to make sure she has all the support she needs to process what happened. As for Gerald, he's been blowing up Ryan's phone with angry messages and has even tried to get Amy and other family members involved. Thankfully, Amy is on our side. She called us the day after Ryan's confrontation with Gerald and told us that she had noticed Gerald's behavior too but, like Ryan, had been making excuses for it. She's fully supporting our decision to distance ourselves from Gerald. Ryan's mother, Linda, 63F, has been surprisingly quiet through all of this. Ryan tried calling her a few times, but she hasn't returned his calls. We're not sure if she's siding with Gerald or just doesn't want to get involved. Right now, we're taking things one day at a time. Ryan is struggling with his feelings about his father, but he's committed to putting our family first. He's been making a special effort with Haley, spending extra time with her and reassuring her that she's loved and that what happened wasn't her fault. I'm cautiously optimistic about our future, but I know we have a long road ahead of us. The hurt and mistrust don't disappear overnight, but I'm proud of Ryan for finally standing up to his father and choosing to protect our family. We have our first family therapy session scheduled for next week. I'm nervous about it, but I'm hoping it will help us all process what happened and move forward as a stronger family unit. I'll keep you all updated on how things progress. Thank you again for all your support and advice. It really has made a difference in helping me navigate this difficult situation. Update 2. It's been about a month since my last update, and a lot has happened. I want to thank everyone again for their support and advice. It's been invaluable during this difficult time. The family therapy sessions have been going well. We've had 4 sessions so far, and while they're emotionally draining, I can see that they're helping. Haley is slowly starting to open up about her feelings regarding the mall incident and Gerald's behavior in general. It breaks my heart to hear how much his actions have affected her, but I'm glad she's getting the help she needs to process everything. In our last session, Haley drew a picture of our family. She drew Ryan much bigger than Gerald, saying that Ryan was her real grandpa because he loved her. It was a bittersweet moment. I was happy to see that she felt secure in Ryan's love, but sad that she had to go through this experience at all. Ryan has been attending some individual therapy sessions as well, which I think has been really good for him. He's been working through his complicated feelings about his father and coming to terms with the fact that Gerald isn't the man Ryan thought he was. Ryan told me that he started to remember incidents from his childhood that he'd suppressed, times when Gerald had been overly harsh or manipulative. It's been tough for Ryan to reconcile these memories with the image he'd built up of his father, but I can see that he's making progress. As for Gerald, things have escalated. About 2 weeks ago, he showed up at our house unannounced. Ryan and I were at work and Haley was at school, but our neighbor saw him trying to peek in through our windows and called us. We immediately called the police, who came and escorted Gerald off our property. This incident shook us all up, especially Ryan. He finally saw firsthand how far his father was willing to go. After this, we decided to file for a restraining order against Gerald. The process has been stressful, but we feel it's necessary to protect our family. Gerald didn't take the news of the restraining order well. He's been spreading lies about me to anyone who will listen, claiming that I'm manipulating Ryan and turning Haley against him. He's even gone as far as to call the school where Ryan and I worked, trying to cause problems for us there. Thankfully, our principal is aware of the situation and has been very supportive. Most of the family sees through Gerald's lies, but unfortunately, Ryan's mother, Linda, has taken Gerald's side. She's been calling Ryan constantly, trying to guilt him into reconciling with his father. She's brought up Ryan's childhood, talking about all the sacrifices they made for him and how he's breaking the family apart. It's been hard for Ryan to hear, but he stood firm in his decision to protect our family. Ryan told Linda that unless she can respect our decisions and boundaries, we'll have to limit contact with her as well. She didn't take this well and has since stopped calling altogether. I can see that this estrangement from his parents is taking a toll on Ryan, but he assures me that he doesn't regret his decision. We've had to make some changes in our daily lives. We've installed security cameras around our house and changed our routines to be less predictable. It's sad that we have to take these measures, but Haley's safety is our top priority. We've also had talks with Haley's school, making sure they know not to release her to anyone but us, no matter what. On a positive note, this whole ordeal has brought Ryan and me closer together. We're communicating better than ever, and I feel like our relationship is stronger for having gone through this. Ryan has been an incredible father to Haley, going above and beyond to make her feel safe and loved. He's taken time off work to be there for Haley's therapy sessions and has been helping her work through her fears. We're taking things day by day, but I feel cautiously optimistic about our future. The road ahead isn't easy, but I know we can face it together as a family. We're focusing on creating new, positive memories to help overshadow the negative experiences with Gerald. Last weekend, we took Haley to the zoo, her favorite place, and it was wonderful to see her laughing and enjoying herself without any shadows of fear. I'll update again if there are any significant developments. For now, we're just trying to move forward and heal as a family. Thank you all again for your support throughout this journey. Update 3. It's been about 2 months since my last update, and I wanted to share some developments in our situation. The restraining order against Gerald was granted, which has given us some peace of mind. However, he's found ways to skirt around it. He's been sending messages through other family members and even tried to contact Haley's school once, though thankfully the school was aware of the situation and didn't allow any contact. Ryan's relationship with his mother, Linda, has deteriorated further. She's fully sided with Gerald and has been relentless in her attempts to get Ryan to reconcile with his father. Last week, she crossed a line by telling Ryan that Haley wasn't his real daughter anyway, so he shouldn't be ruining his relationship with his real family over her. Ryan was devastated by her words and has decided to cut contact with her as well, at least for now. This decision has been hard on Ryan. He's been dealing with a lot of guilt and second-guessing himself. There are days when he's quiet and withdrawn, and I know he's thinking about his parents. But he's been talking about these feelings in his therapy sessions, which seems to be helping. On a brighter note, Haley has been making progress in therapy. She's having fewer nightmares and is slowly regaining her confidence. Her therapist suggested we create a safe space for Haley at home, so we set up a cozy corner in her room with soft pillows, her favorite stuffed animals, and a nightlight. Haley calls it her brave spot and goes there when she's feeling scared or overwhelmed. Ryan and I have been making a conscious effort to create positive family memories to help overshadow the negative experiences with Gerald. We recently took a short family trip to a nearby lakeside resort. It was just the 3 of us, and it was exactly what we needed. We went hiking, had picnics by the lake, and spent evenings playing board games. Seeing Haley laugh and play without fear, and watching Ryan fully embrace his role as her dad without any shadows of doubt, made me feel like we're on the right path. As for our extended family, most have been supportive, but there are still some who think we're being too harsh on Gerald. Ryan's sister Amy has been our biggest ally, consistently shutting down any attempts by others to minimize Gerald's actions. She's been a great support for Ryan, often calling to check in on him and reassure him that he's doing the right thing. We've also found unexpected support in our community. When word got out about what happened, small towns, many of our neighbors and colleagues rallied around us. They've been keeping an eye out for any suspicious activity around our house and have been incredibly kind to Haley. It's reminded me of the goodness in people and has helped restore some of my faith in humanity after this whole ordeal. We're still taking things one day at a time, but I feel like we're finally starting to heal as a family. Ryan and I are stronger than ever, and Haley is thriving despite everything she's been through. While I wish none of this had ever happened, I'm proud of how we've come together to face these challenges. There are still tough days, of course. Days when Haley is extra clingy or when Ryan gets lost in thoughts of his estranged parents. But we're learning to navigate these moments together, to talk openly about our feelings and fears. Looking ahead, we're cautiously optimistic. We're planning to continue with family therapy for the foreseeable future, as it's been incredibly helpful for all of us. Ryan and I are also talking about possibly moving to a new house in a different neighborhood, just to have a fresh start away from the memories of Gerald's unwanted visit. I'll update again if there are any significant developments, but for now, we're focusing on moving forward and creating a happy, safe life for our family.